Hello, and thanks very much for giving me this opportunity to brief you on the work of Memorial's education justice work as that's played out through our team of 10 and our work with Strong Schools Maryland with other almost 200 teams of 10 across the state of Maryland. The fact is that 2020 has been quite a year for us, and 2021 will take us through what we've tended to call Strong Schools Maryland, 1.0. During this year, we began with a big push in Annapolis. This was going to be the culminating moment for all the work that has gone on for the last 4 years. We were twice in Maryland, the Memorial's team of 10, within the first 2 months of the session. We were among those, there were 10 or 12 people from somewhere in Maryland, in Annapolis, every single day in our red shirts, buttonholing legislators, passing out information, educating legislative staff, etc. And a day or two prior to the early adjournment of the General Assembly this year, the legislation, it had come to be called the Blueprint for Maryland's Future, was in fact passed by veto-proof majorities. So that was a big thrill. Not surprisingly, Governor Hogan vetoed it not long afterwards. He had never been in favor of the bold strokes that the Blueprint had taken, both in proposed changes in behavior and proposed changes in funding. And then COVID came, and then the presidential election came, and all that has transpired since then. And while we've continued the work behind the scenes, we're now really looking forward to the session this year in 2021. Our work this year is going to be to override that veto. We are pretty confident that that's going to happen. It's not done until it's done, but it did pass with veto-proof majorities, and we have every reason to believe that we're going to be able to hold a sufficient number of those votes. It will be voted on sometime, we expect, before the second week in March, not right at the beginning, because there's going to be some companion legislation that will make some amendments, especially in timetable, since in fact it's being passed, in a sense, a year later than earlier anticipated. So those changes, the timetable changes, need to be made. And we will be there virtually in our work in Annapolis. One of the big changes also is that early on, Strong Schools thought that it would disband after we reached this stage of passing the Blueprint. What we've realized is that there needs to be a Strong Schools Maryland 2.0, that the implementation of the Blueprint's going to be maybe even more difficult than the passing of it in the first place, because it's got a strong emphasis on accountability, and especially accountability for low-income kids, for kids with disabilities, kids who don't speak English as a first language, to narrow the big achievement gap between black and white kids and brown and white kids. And there's going to be pushback from the local level because the state's going to play a larger accountability role in that process. And often locals don't like to be monitored, to be held accountable, but experience tells us that's absolutely necessary. So we're going to continue in that role. I'm sure that every January in our public watchdog role, we will have identified a series of recommendations that we think the General Assembly needs to take to maintain the focus on justice in the education arena, and we will be there. The timetable, the schedule, the practice of Memorial's team of 10 won't be quite the same. We won't meet monthly as we have for most of the last 4 years. It will ebb and flow as need requires, but we expect it to continue. We've had 10 or 12 really faithful members of the team from within the church, 2 or 3 more from outside the church. We would love to have more of you. It's a big task that still awaits us. We are very grateful for all that Memorial has been doing, and we look forward to working with the congregation as we go into this new activity this session. Thank you again very much.